So this comic, Emily Emergence, has got a lot of secrets and symbols in it. Even starting with the cover, if you look closely at it. There's a lot of strange scribblings on the blackboard. By the way, it's a blackboard with chalk on it because the comic takes place in 1968, way back when Control-Z was an eraser, kind of like an iPhone 11 Pro made entirely out of black felt. So there's no spoilers in this, but you might want to go and read the comic first or see it on webtoons and then look at the video promo at the Future Bound Comics website. Come on, kids, this is something you could do on your own at home. So the comic's done in this really retro style, beautifully done by Ken and colored by Nathan. It looks to me like something from like 70s heavy metal magazine. But suddenly, without warning, it snaps to an anime face on page 3 of this one character who's not of any real importance. He's a background guy, but you can see the difference in styles there from the left face of the guy in the red hoodie to the right. And that anime face, especially if you look at it in a digital media, like if you look at the webtoons or PDF, is actually carefully done to imitate the anime style of like the 80s and 90s. Now, the anime style also is meant to show that someone's sick. So it occurs a couple times. There's Emily walking up the steps. She's the hero, the protagonist of the story. But in the background are a couple of other characters, and one of them's getting sick. And on the next page, she gets the anime face. So in the story, Emily also takes the chemical inadvertently, and she gets sick, and she gets an anime face too, which I'm not going to show you where it is. You can try to find it. You have to piece it together. That's a hint. So another example of things coming from the future to affect the present is on page 17. Here's Emily driving in her car, and she hears a song on the radio. Break on through to the other side. Song by The Doors. I love that song. And appropriate for the time because it came out in 67. There she is driving in her 65 Plymouth Fury. Believe me, we researched this stuff, okay? It kind of makes sense on some level. The next song is Icon, Killing Me, but Icon is a K-pop band from 1995. No, sorry, 2015. Yeah, 2015. So, why is that? Well, hopefully you're intrigued. So things get a little bit more complicated and convoluted as the pages turn. Not as bad as Tenet, but, we only had 52 pages, not 2.5 hours and $200 million to confuse you with. Anyway, you're not alone. On page 33, Emily's talking to Carnegie. Why is it future this and future that? And Carnegie just says, we'll leave that for the next lecture. And there you have it. The biggest dodge of exposition since Tom and Jerry's lack of backstory. So let's go back to the cover. I wanted to talk about some symbols that are important to the story. Not necessarily the first issue, but they do become very important. And they're called yin-finity symbols. A combination of yin-yang and infinity. As you can see, there's one right there. It's got the yin-yang superimposed with the infinity symbol. Yin-finity symbol. And there's another one, a variant of it. And these also appear in different places in the comic. For example, if you want to keep playing this Where's Waldo minigame, there's one on page 13, right there on Snuggin's cap. His cap, again, bigger because he's growing bigger, and it's different. It's got not an infinity symbol, but a circle over the yin-yang symbol. There's another one on Carnegie's door, again, different color, a little bit of a variation. Emily, don't do it. Who in their right mind would knock on a door like that at night by themselves? Anyway, I wanted to show you another place that there are some of these symbols and information, and that's at the futureboundcomics.com website. There's a promo video there. There's a yin-yang symbol, a bona fide yin-yang symbol, which overlays the moon. And if you go all the way to the end of the promo video, Where's the end? This yin-yang symbol, the same one that's on Snuggin's cap, flies by. So there's stuff in the promo that's not in the comic and vice versa. It's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken, because God didn't want to have to sit on the egg all day. So one last thing, page 42, the cabinet that Carnegie uses to hold who knows what has drawers with different yin-finity symbols on them. Ooh, mystery. So what about these symbols? I mean, where do they come from? Who cares? What are they for? Well, you know, everything's not spelled out in the first issue, but there's a scene in the comic where Cox grabs the Snuggins doll because Emily's going to town on him because she's mad at him, and he's trying to distract her. He says, "Don't hurt Snuggins," and holds it up, and she goes, "That's my Snuggins?" And he says, "Yes, I won him for you at the carnival, remember? Remember, Emily?" Now, Snuggins' origin story isn't in the comic, but there's a bit of it in the promo video here where there's the carnival game, and Cox is going to throw a ball and knock over one of those creepy Cupid heads. Emily's pointing up, and Carol's laughing, and Emily's pointing at the Snuggins doll, which she wants, and Cox eventually wins for her. But the booth is run by the antagonist, the evil Carney. Sean did such a great job drawing this guy. Really creeps me out. Almost as much as Cruella de Vil when I was a kid, though. Those two should get together and spawn social media companies. The last thing I want to talk about is equations in the story. They're all over the blackboard on the cover. Emily, the heroine of the story, is a math major genius trying to get her PhD in math before she turns 21. And second page, I think third page, you see this integration formula overlaying Emily's thoughts about her Auntie Lily passing away. And she's carrying math books. Later on, there's another reference to it. It's kind of towards the end where Carnegie's research paper goes blowing all outside the door. And there's the pages. And the last page we see has got the similar formula at the top with a conclusion, love equals death. And, you know, mathematically proven, and something my own relationships prove experimentally. Metaphorically for things like, joy, freedom, friendship. Okay, let's move on. Emily's taking a math test, but it turns into a math monster. She turns in her papers filled with incomprehensible scribblings. Or are they? As anyone who's ever gotten an A for BS knows, it happens. Okay, this last thing I want to show you is on this 2-page spread. Beautiful, beautiful spread that Ken illustrated. Ken Bastard. I love the guy, that's his name, not my epithet. And Nathan Lum colored, as they did the whole book. Well, sometimes Ken did the coloring. Anyway, if you go zoom into this top right-hand corner, and if your autofocus behaves, behind Archimedes on the ramparts are these 3 figures called Bings, which appear again at an important scene in the comic. And you know what? I'm not going to show it after all. You guys can find it. A lot of this stuff fits into the next comic, which I hope we get a chance to do. But if not, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think Kubrick ever made 2002 A Space Odyssey, did he? And didn't every episode of Batman leave us hanging? See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.